Trước khi bắt đầu, nếu bạn đang tìm kiếm sách để học IELTS hiệu quả, thì đây là những cuốn sách chúng mình khuyên dùng. Nó có thể giúp bạn đạt điểm IELTS từ 7.0 tới 8.0. Bạn hãy xem ở phần giỏ hàng trong kênh nhé.
Part 1. You will hear a woman calling a repair studio to arrange a checkup service for her sewing machine.
Stitchworks Studio, good morning.
Hello, I'd like to arrange a service for my sewing machine, please.
Certainly. Is it an urgent repair or a routine check?
More of a checkup. It still sews, but it's been noisy and the stitching looks uneven.
Right. Before I take details, can I confirm what you'll bring? Please bring the machine, in a bag or box, and the manual if you have it.
The instruction book, yes.
And if you have one, bring a spare bobbin. It isn't essential, but it helps us test.
Okay.
Great. What's your surname?
Ketteridge.
Could you spell that for me?
Ketteridge.
Thank you. And the brand?
It's a Genome.
Is that spelled Janome?
Yes, that's right.
What happens when you use it?
There's a loud clicking noise when I start.
Clicking, yes. We offer two options. The same-day checkup is £25 and covers inspection, testing, and minor adjustments.
That sounds suitable.
The full service takes 3 to 4 days and costs £59. That includes cleaning, oiling, and setting the thread tension.
I'll begin with the checkup then.
No problem. If we find it needs more work, we'll call you first.
Good. Are there parts that might need replacing?
Occasionally, the drive belt can wear and sometimes the internal LED light fails. Those are optional extras, and we'd quote you.
Right.
One more thing. We can't repair damage caused by water, for example, if a machine has been stored somewhere damp.
Mine hasn't.
Could I take a contact number?
Yes, it's 07826 904 771.
Thank you. We're on Alder Street, opposite Arto Cinema, with level access at the door. If you use special needles, put one in the box for testing.
Great, I will.
When would you like to drop it off?
Thursday morning, if possible.
We're closed on Thursdays, not Thursday but Friday.
Friday works.
For the same-day check, collection is not at lunchtime but after 3 o'clock.
After 3, understood.
Just so you know, we accept card only, not cash at the counter. There's a small ramp and a bell if you need assistance. Parking is available behind the bakery for 15 minutes. We'll text you when it's ready. See you Friday.
Thanks. Bye.
Part 2. You will hear an access officer giving information about a barrier-free walking route at Cranley Waterside Trail.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Cranley Waterside Trail. My name's Erin Holt, and I'm the access officer for the site. Before we set off, I'll explain today's barrier-free route, point out 3 help points, and mention 2 new guided sessions. To begin with, a quick note on the place itself. Cranley Wharf looks modern now, but it used to be a boat-building yard. People sometimes say it was a grain warehouse, but the historic records show it was mainly used for repairing small fishing boats. Next, an update on the harbour steps. They're staying in place, because removing them would mean closing the riverside path for months. Instead, we're building a ramp beside the steps, with handrails on both sides and a non-slip surface. Work should start next month, so the route will be even smoother later in the season. Now, why is the route different from the one on last year's leaflet? The short answer is resurfacing work. There are temporary barriers along Dock Street and a section of uneven paving, so we're avoiding that stretch and keeping to the wider promenade. Here's the key instruction. Follow the blue access signs. They're fixed to the posts at each junction, low enough to be seen from a wheelchair, and they indicate the gentlest gradient. If you miss a sign, don't guess. Turn back to the previous corner because some side lanes have high curbs. Please keep backpacks to body on the narrow sections and give way at pinch points. If you need to stop, pull to the side so others can pass. A warning about the canal footbridge. It looks like the quickest way across, and for confident walkers it's fine, but the approach on the far side is steep. Also, the metal surface can be slippery after rain. For that reason, it isn't recommended for wheelchair users. Stay on the riverside path and cross at the traffic lights on Market Street instead. Now, the 3 help points. At the Mariners Museum entrance, you'll find automatic doors, which means you can enter without needing someone to hold them open. The staff inside can also lend a small ramp for the display room, but that's only during normal opening hours. At Willow Park Pavilion, seating is provided under cover. It's a good stop if you need a break, and there's a drinking fountain beside the benches. Please keep the central space clear, as emergency vehicles may need to pass. Finally, at the Eastgate Library desk, staff can assist with directions, accessible toilets, and taxi numbers. They also have large print leaflets, though we found the blue signs are the easiest way to navigate. Before I finish, 2 new guided sessions, a sign language tour on Saturday mornings and an audio described tour on Sunday afternoons. The Children's Treasure Walk and the Evening Photography Walk continue as before, but please book those online because places fill quickly. If you need extra help, please speak to me now, not later today. Right, let's get started.
Bạn đang nghe podcast miễn phí tại IELTS. Nếu bạn yêu quý kênh, hãy ủng hộ chúng mình ở phần mô tả nha.
Part 3. You will hear 2 students discussing how to organize their group project on local transport habits and agreeing on roles and deadlines.
Hi, Kareem. Thanks for meeting today. We really need to organize our transport project before the deadline gets too close. If we don't sort everything out now, we'll end up rushing the report at the last minute.
I agree. The project requires a short written report and a 5-minute presentation, so it's important that we divide the tasks clearly. Let's go through everything step by step.
Right, so first we have background research, then designing the survey, collecting responses, analyzing the data, writing the report, and preparing the presentation slides.
And we also need someone to coordinate meetings and book rooms. Without that, it'll be difficult to keep everyone on schedule.
You're usually good at organizing things. Do you want to coordinate?
I could do it, but actually I'm going to be off campus most mornings next week. It might be hard for me to manage bookings and send reminders on time.
In that case, I'll handle it. I'm here every day, so I can book rooms and send reminders to the group.
Yes, that makes more sense. Thanks for taking that on.
No problem. Now, about the background section, someone needs to find academic sources and summarize the key ideas.
I was thinking maybe Lewis could do that.
I'm not sure he'll have time. Didn't he say he'd be busy running the survey and collecting responses?
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. In that case, I'll take responsibility for the background research. I'll look for journal articles and reliable reports about transport habits and summarize the most useful points.
That would be great. Just make sure the sources are credible and not outdated.
Of course, I'll focus on peer-reviewed studies and official publications.
Good. Now, what about the slides?
Holly mentioned earlier that she'd be happy to design the slides and create graphs to show the results clearly.
Yes, she's good with layout and visuals.
And Dan prefers speaking rather than designing, so he can present during the presentation.
That sounds right. Priya can edit the final report. She's very careful with language and always improves clarity.
Agreed. And Lewis will collect the survey responses from students around campus.
Especially near the library and the bus stop, where we can reach different groups.
Exactly. Now let's talk about the research question. We need to finalize it by Wednesday, don't we?
I think Wednesday is for something else.
Yes, Wednesday is the deadline for completing the survey questions. The research question must be chosen by Monday.
Right, Monday. Thanks for clarifying. So our question could focus on how students travel to campus and what factors influence their choices.
That works. It allows us to compare buses, bikes, walking, and ride-sharing services.
Good. After that, we'll complete the survey questions by Wednesday.
The survey shouldn't be too long. Around 10 questions should be enough so people don't lose interest.
And the wording needs to be neutral so we don't influence their answers.
Absolutely. We also need to think about ethics. Since we're collecting information from participants, we should explain what the data will be used for.
Yes, we'll add a short introduction stating who we are and that responses are anonymous.
Should we collect names to prevent duplicate responses?
I don't think that's necessary. It's better to avoid collecting identifying details.
Good point. We'll just remind them it's one response per person. Now, regarding the deadline for collecting responses, we should aim for at least 30 by Friday.
Yes, 30 by Friday gives us enough data and still leaves time to analyze everything.
Once we've analysed the data, we can start drafting the report.
And Priya will edit the final version.
When should we practice the presentation?
Tuesday next week would be best. That gives us time to prepare the slides.
Agreed. We can check that we stay within 5 minutes.
And the final submission is Thursday at 4 p.m., so we should meet Wednesday evening to combine all the sections.
Perfect. I'll upload the academic sources tonight.
And I'll book a room and send reminders.
I think we've got a clear plan now.
Me too. Let's get started.
Part 4. You will hear a lecturer giving a talk about fish passage design in river engineering and explaining the key design features and evaluation methods.
Today we're looking at fish passage design, which is one of the most practical topics in river engineering because it sits between ecology and construction. When we place a barrier in a river, even a small weir, we change the movement of water and we also interrupt the movement of animals. For fish, that interruption can be critical because many species need to travel between different habitats during the year. The first reason passages are needed is feeding. In many rivers, productive feeding areas are upstream, where water is cooler and oxygen levels are higher. A barrier can stop fish reaching those feeding zones, which reduces growth rates and survival. The second reason is breeding. Several species migrate upstream to breed, then return downstream later, so if the route is blocked, the population can decline quickly. Engineers tend to use two common solutions. The first is a fish ladder. You can imagine it as a staircase for water. It works best when the height difference is small, because the ladder creates a series of small drops that fish can handle. Inside the ladder, you build a sequence of pools. Each pool is separated by a low baffle, so water spills gently from one pool to the next. Fish swim into a pool, rest, and then move on. This design is compact and relatively cheap, but it is sensitive to poor placement. If the entrance is not where fish naturally gather, they simply will not find it. The second solution is a bypass channel. This is a longer channel that curves around the barrier and is designed to look like a natural stream. The advantage is that a wider range of species can use it because it avoids sudden turbulence and can include varied substrates such as gravel and stones. The disadvantage is space. A bypass needs more land than a ladder, and it can be expensive if property boundaries are tight. Let's turn to design details that are often tested in exams. First, water speed. The current must be low enough for weaker fish, especially juveniles and small-bodied species, but it still needs to be attractive enough to draw fish towards the entrance. Designers often combine deeper sections with slower eddies, so fish can choose an easier path. Second, lighting. Fish frequently avoid dark tunnels. If your design includes a culvert, you may need skylights, open grills, or artificial lighting to reduce sharp contrasts. Third, resting opportunities. Even strong fish fatigue, so a resting pool is commonly placed every 20 meters in longer systems. The idea is not to create a dead zone, but a calm area with reduced velocity. There are also human factors. A passage must be maintainable. Debris, leaves, and litter can block slots and alter flow patterns, so you need access for inspection and cleaning. In cold regions, ice can form in shallow pools, while in hot regions, shallow water can warm quickly. Both conditions reduce effectiveness. How do we know a passage works? We evaluate performance in several ways. One approach is visual counting, but that is labor-intensive. A more common method is an underwater camera placed near the exit. With good positioning and clear water, the camera can record the number of fish passing, the direction of movement, and the time of day when activity peaks. For more detail, some projects use tagging, but that requires permits and specialist staff. A final point is entrance location and attraction flow. Fish generally follow the main current, so the entrance should be close to the strongest jet of water below the barrier. If it is tucked away behind rocks, fish may circle for hours and give up. Designers sometimes add a small supplementary flow, released from the ladder or channel, to create a clear signal. However, too much attraction flow can increase velocity inside the structure and exclude weaker swimmers, so it must be balanced. After installation, teams usually review data for several weeks, then adjust baffles or roughness if passage rates are low. This adaptive approach is common because rivers change seasonally, and a design that works in spring may fail during summer low flows. In practice, small adjustments often improve performance more than major rebuilding. To finish, remember the main trade-off. Ladders are compact and efficient for small drops, while bypass channels are more natural but need more space. A successful design matches local species, river flow, and maintenance capacity, rather than copying a diagram from a textbook in the long term.
Bạn đang nghe podcast miễn phí tại IELTS. Nếu bạn yêu quý kênh, hãy ủng hộ chúng mình ở phần mô tả nha.